Hello, everyone. Welcome to Geek Tank, where everything is a matter of geek. I'm your host, Kay,
And I'm Zia.
and today we got a interesting ass topic, right?
Yeah, what are we talking about, Kay?
Well, I mean, we're right on the heels of E3 2019,
Yep, that's right. A lot of
where
big reveals there.
a lot of big reveals. They announced Project Scarlet in the Microsoft press conference. Sony was out of this press conference, though.
I mean, they still had announcements prior to E3.
Prior to E3, it seems like E3 is not what it used to be.
Well, I mean, if you remember, E3 got, I don't think it was outright canceled, but it was downsized for a while.
Yeah.
And now they've kind of let it grow a bit again.
Yeah. But that is not our topic, though. E3 is not our topic, but
I mean, it's a little bit. We'll be talking about some stuff from from there.
prior to E3 and during E3. So our topic today is the strands of Hollywood and video games and how those strands just intermingle, right? What do you think?
Stop.
Why?
Why you gotta give it such a corny title, man?
Whatever.
The Strands, because
strands, because we're gonna be talking about Death Stranding as well.
Of course, I mean, anyone that is following video games right now probably got that from a mile away.
All right.
They're just
So
like,
there you go.
Strands. You talking about Death Stranding?
Well,
Norman Fetus.
I mean, that's one aspect of this topic. Yes, Death Stranding is an aspect of the topic, but it is just like how Hollywood and video games have been all of a sudden coinciding with each other now.
So which one would you say
I would say
invaded the other first?
Well, Hollywood is before video games, obviously.
That's yeah.
So
So Hollywood influenced video games first, probably.
Yeah.
And then video games started to influence Hollywood
mhm.
with movies and whatnot.
And movie tie-in games and whatnot, and
Hardcore Henry, the first-person action movie. It's a first-person shooter movie.
it's a crazy time that we're living in, right? Because as you heard earlier, we mentioned E3. For me, E3, Keanu Reeves won it. He won E3 for me.
I mean, him showing up, that was something special.
Mm.
I don't know. For me, E3's still about the video games. Like, I love Keanu.
Yeah.
One of my favorite actors. Cool guy. I mean, based on everything
course.
you see about him, he seems like a cool guy. But I mean, I kind of do agree with the main consensus that Nintendo kind of won E3 just because. And I'm not even like a huge Nintendo fanboy. It was just I was more interested by the stuff they showed than what I saw elsewhere.
So, as you all know, Keanu Reeves is going to be in Cyberpunk 2077.
That's right.
And
Get up, samurai. We gotta
wake the fuck up. Now, hold up. It's wake the fuck up, samurai.
Whatever.
We got a city to burn. So John Wick is going to be in Cyberpunk.
Yes.
AKA Neo. AKA the many roles that Keanu Reeves has done. And it's crazy.
I want to burn the city down with Keanu. That'd be cool.
Let's not talk about that.
Talking about in the game.
I don't want SWAT to bust in through these windows.
And then I'll show them the trailer. Be like, oh shit. They'll be like, yeah, we want to do that too.
They just bust in, and you're just like, all right, guys, you guys are here. You're going to put the phone down and show them the trailer.
I got you to come here so I could show you this Keanu in a video game.
So, I mean, this has been going on for quite some time now where video games have been using Hollywood talent in their games.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely nothing new. I think maybe the extent to which we're seeing it is much bigger, though.
Yeah.
Because if you look back as far as, the NES is even before that, even on the Atari, you had E.T.
Yeah.
That was a movie, video game of a movie. On the NES, you had things like Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
So.
And it's crazy, like, how advanced technology has gotten, right? Because, I mean, like, you saw the trailer.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves looks like fucking Keanu Reeves. It's scary.
That's why I was saying that even though it's been going on for a while, it just hasn't it's never been quite like this before. In that you have mocap that it allows you to put that actor right there in that virtual world, by virtue of getting their actual movements down, getting their facial expressions down. You also have them voicing the character, so it's truly their likeness. It's not just an artistic rendition of them. It is almost like them in the virtual world.
Yeah. So it's come to the point where, you know, you're going to be licensing out the likeness of yourself or your character or whatever. And it's a scary, you know, territory that we're entering now. It's like,
we're getting a little bit transhumanist now, aren't we?
Yeah. Because it's like, you have like the deep fake videos out there, which...
Well, that shit is scary. That is legit scary.
Yeah. And I mean, it kind of translates into this too, in a sense where it's like, you know, you see Hollywood actors just being in these video games and they just look so lifelike and whatnot. And even in their movies, like now you could probably don't need them. You know, I remember being told this in like high school and stuff like that. You know, we're going to get to an age of technology where we're going to be able to start recreating dead characters and whatever and make movies out of them and whatnot. So it's like, it's crazy to see that, like, obviously not to that extent yet.
I'll be honest, I don't want to see us get to that extent because at that point it's like, well, what's the point of even being here?
So it is a double-edged sword in a sense, right? It is cool that we get to see someone, you know, top talent from Hollywood come into these video games and just kind of, you know, just like the way back in the days in Hollywood is just when there was like a certain talent that had recognition and praise and whatnot, instead of advertising the movie, they would advertise the actor in the movie.
Yeah.
In the trailer. It's like, okay, you know, starring Will Smith, starring Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. And it's like, okay, so instead of before the movie, you're advertising the actor and drawing people in. I mean, I think that's kind of sort of changing now in Hollywood, and that is being more apparent now in video games, I think. In Cyberpunk, for me, is a pretty good example.
So basically, you're saying it's almost like video games are having to take a step that movies had to take along the way.
Yeah.
And their, you know, development into a more sophisticated art form. Okay.
It's not even just sophisticated art form; it's just the way they're marketing it now.
Yeah. I mean, I'll admit it's pretty cool to an extent. Like, I mean, I got excited when I saw Keanu Reeves, but I definitely don't want to see that become
the main thing, or you know.
Right. Yeah. Because who knows yet whether or not Cyberpunk is going to be an engrossing experience.
Yeah.
That's to me the most important thing anything should go for, whether it's a movie or a video game.
Exactly.
Or a book.
I mean, I will say this, like, you know, I wasn't really, even though I'm a big fan of Cyberpunk, like just like that stuff, like Ghost in the Shell and Blade Runner and all that stuff. I wasn't like really hyped about the game Cyberpunk, and then they announced Keanu Reeves, and I was like, fuck it, I gotta get it.
Well, I was keeping an eye on Cyberpunk.
I mean, it looked cool,
but the reason I wasn't really too interested was because there wasn't really much to show for it. There hasn't been, and as far as I know, the release date it's not until like what 2021.
No, I think it's next year.
It's next year?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so it is sooner, but it's still, for me, that's still like a while away. I got too much to focus on in the here and now.
Yeah.
To really be like counting down the days to any game.
Yeah, but then like, has there ever been like a game or like a movie where you're like, oh shit, this so and so person is in it, I gotta get it?
Onimusha 3.
Onimusha 3.
Jean Reno. That was pretty hype for me because I love Jean Reno growing up. Like in movies like The Professional, he was fucking great. And then it's like, oh, he's gonna be an Onimusha as like this French cop that at first he's shooting demons and then he gets this cool whip thing, like a fucking Castlevania character, and I'm like, hell yeah.
And you know, the first 3 Onimusha games have used an actor or in their likeness and I think their voice too. Yeah,
that was one of the main draw points for Onimusha, and to my knowledge, that's the first game that made a big deal about it.
Yeah.
In the West, we weren't really aware of it because the first game used a Japanese actor.
Yeah, Takeshi Kaneshiro. I mean, I watched his movies.
Yeah,
after.
So he was popular in Japan at the time. He was big time popular, and I remember seeing a documentary, or maybe it wasn't a documentary, but it was something on G4 at the time that was like, oh, you know, they went with him because they wanted to get more of a female audience too, and he was like one of the Japanese heartthrobs for girls in Japan.
I believe he's like half Taiwanese and half Japanese.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay. And I know that with Onimusha 2, they tried to get an actor that had, you know, some renown in the States and in Japan.
Yeah.
And
who had actually passed away before Onimusha 2 came out.
Yeah.
So this brings back to what we were talking about earlier. It's kind of like resurrecting a dead actor, or, you know,
which is cool. That I kind of like that, because that's like, you know, paying the ultimate respect to someone. Like, hey, you know, you were this widely liked that, hey, we want to, you know, sort of give you a second life here.
Yeah. I believe that actor was Matsuda, and his last movie was
the name. It is Yusaku Matsuda.
Yeah, and his last movie was Black Rain, which I enjoyed, which came out in 1989. Ridley Scott, Andy Garcia, Michael Douglas. Pretty dope ass, you know, like cop action movie.
Yeah. So there's always been this relationship between video games and Hollywood. It's nothing new. I mean, dude, we have a whole list of games here that sort of or that, you know, break these boundaries. So we obviously mentioned Cyberpunk with Keanu Reeves now. There was Kevin Spacey in Call of Duty. I remember this was back when Kevin Spacey was not being shunned for the, you know, the bad things.
Back when he was still on House of Cards and really relevant.
I think that was when he was like at the height of his popularity because of House of Cards.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That was something.
Yeah.
Ghost Recon is going that same route now with John Bernthal.
John Bernthal. You know, it suits John Bernthal's character to be a Ghost Recon. Pulling that Punisher. The funny thing is, right, is like the Ghost Recon, the logo for Ghost Recon is usually a skull and whatnot.
Are they changing that?
No. It is. Okay. So this is kind of like...
Oh, yeah. Okay, I get what you're going for now. Yeah, because he's Punisher.
Yeah. John Bernthal. They're just like... Yeah. And the thing is, though, he's a bad guy, supposedly. But it's like a very like gray area they're touching on with his character.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
We mentioned Onimusha.
Mm-hmm.
There was Apocalypse on PlayStation 1.
Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
That was... I remember when that came out, they're like... Because the thing was, there were Die Hard games. And they didn't... Bruce Willis was like, don't use my likeness.
Yeah, so we were talking about this beforehand. I remember you were saying, he was in a PS1 game, and that was the first thing you said. I was like, Die Hard.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it wasn't until after that you told me that, you know, they didn't use his likeness. Because as I remember that game, I used to have it.
Yeah.
It was a bad game, but I like remember in my head Bruce Willis, like his likeness and his voice, but I guess
there was another game called for Sega, right? It was called Dynamite Deca, which is pretty much a beat 'em up Die Hard game in the arcades.
But does it have Bruce Willis?
I mean, the character looks like it's a you got to remember, these are early games. So they made it look like the character in Die Hard, but not really called him the Die Hard character.
So, they just changed the name, so it's like you get around the license.
Yeah. So that's the thing. There's like this gray area in this, right? It's like you could maybe, how are they gonna? And I would like to hear from you guys, like, you know, what their thoughts are on this too, the viewers. And
well, I mean, is it wrong to use someone's likeness, like to base a character on someone? Because you don't just see that in video games. I mean, what's something that comes to mind? JoJo's Bizarre Adventure does that. I mean, if you look at part 4, the villain is it's, you know, Kira is David Bowie.
Yeah,
the face looks exactly like him.
It becomes, like I said, it's a very like gray area, because it's kind of like, okay, how are you portraying that character,
right?
And how closely is it likeness is it to the certain person that you're portraying, that you base it on?
Yeah, it's like, can you provide a reasonable doubt, or is this just actually the person?
Yeah,
it's tough. because then you get into questions also of artistic expression.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, is it wrong for someone to do that if that's, you know, just, you know, their genuine expression? Like, if they're not trying to cash in on using someone else's likeness.
Like, I hear a lot, right? I think I read like an article or something where it's something scientific. I don't know if it's true or not, but I think it was some scientific article where it says the human brain can't really just imagine a person up. It's like you're always basing it on something.
Yeah, like you're probably just mixing and matching different features of different people you've seen.
You honestly, like, even when you're like either writing or drawing, you really can't. You literally just can't imagine a person. You're drawing from some sort of reference point. Yeah. Or writing from some sort of like a mixture of different reference points.
Well, I mean, memory makes up your reality.
Yeah.
That's something undeniable. Everything's always going to be a reference point. So, I mean, I can totally imagine that. But in a lot of these cases, there is a definite conscious effort to recreate someone's likeness, like that arcade game you were talking about. In the case of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, that was not just a coincidence. So, I don't know. It really is a gray area, like you said. I'm personally okay with it if it feels right. It depends. Is this a cash in? Because that sort of thing, like you can kind of gauge someone's intentions. Like the Keanu Reeves thing, cool as it is, I feel like they're just doing that to get more people interested. And I'm not saying I don't want Keanu in the game. Like, now that he's in there, I'm like, yeah, definitely keep him. It's fucking Keanu.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's a double-edged sword. It's like literally like, it's a pretty neat marketing trick, right? Yeah. Here's the thing. Like, for me, it's cool. You're gonna get more people to play your games or get interested in that genre or in that video game.
You're gonna tap into more of a market that's not necessarily interested in video games.
You're gonna reach out to a wider audience, right?
Yeah.
But then it's also like, but what is the performance like of that person? Did he just straight do it for cash? Did he just straight do it like well, whatever? And
right.
Like, as you see in movies, you can tell, like, some certain, like, yeah, this is just fucking, this dude just took a paycheck and just acted this bullshit through the fucking movie or whatever, you know?
Right. You can say the same thing about, you know, whatever voice actors they would have in there anyway. I mean, video games have not really been known historically for great acting. You have ones that stand out. You know, I would think that basically anything Naughty Dog has done with Uncharted and Last of Us, and I'm not even a huge fan of those games. I don't really care for them, but like acting wise and cinematography and all that, like they're on point with that stuff. But then they're an exception, not the rule, because then you have other examples like Mega Man X4 or Mega Man 8. The voice acting in those games. Yeah, someone just took a paycheck. They weren't doing it because they loved the art of acting.
And it's funny, right? Now we get into the Strands, I guess.
Strands. What does this mean?
Death Stranding.
Strands. Well, let's first establish that Metal Gear Solid has also had a huge connection to Hollywood before we start getting into Death Stranding.
Okay. So Kojima, right? Big fan of Hollywood. He loves fucking movies.
His characters have likenesses.
Let me rephrase that, because I'm not saying he loves fucking movies. Like, he's actually fucking movies. he fucking loves movies.
I'm mine.
Right? So
yeah, he definitely loves movies, and he loves crazy names like Die Hard Man. he's been playing Mega Man and watching Die Hard.
I mean, ever since the first Metal Gear, the box art is
like fucking Kyle Reese
from Terminator 2. Or from the original Terminator. Yeah. It's literally like a copy of Kyle Reese in that fucking pose, and it's like, let me copy your homework. Change it up a little bit. Solid Snake.
I mean, later on, as Snake evolves as a character, you start to see in MGS2 and especially in MGS3 Snake is looking a lot like Kurt Russell.
And even in MGS1, the artwork kind of made him look like Christopher Walken a little bit.
Actually, I think Yoji Shinkawa said he intentionally did that.
Yeah.
So this is one of those things where it's like the character kind of has likenesses of these people, and is it so bad? Like, should Christopher Walken go and sue Konami for having MGS1 Snake look kind of like him? Like,
well, here's the other thing too, right? With MGS, it was pretty much Escape from New York with Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
And the people who made, I forgot who made Escape from New York. But, shit, dude. Carpenter.
Yeah.
John Carpenter. John Carpenter. They asked John Carpenter, like, hey, man, we should kind of sue Kojima because he pretty much stole your plot for your movie and turned it into a game in a sense.
Yeah, I vaguely remember hearing this, and I think John Carpenter was just cool with it.
He's like, no, that's cool. It's a good game or whatever. Yeah. That's from what I heard about it.
Yeah. Because I can see what people are getting at. That hey, yeah, it's a lot like Escape from New York, but at the same time, MGS still feels like its own thing.
Yeah.
This is where you get into the debate as to whether or not it's taking inspiration from or plagiarizing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things that it's a case by case basis.
Yeah,
you know it when you see it.
Yeah.
And you have to call it by, basically like in the case of a game, going through the game and then seeing, or if like it's a movie, watching the movie. It's not like a clear cut thing. Like, I don't know what I'm trying to say anymore. It's hard to explain. You know it when you see it.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, Kojima's always, he said it himself, right? He wanted to make movies.
Yeah.
And his games kind of feel like interactive movies in a sense, but like obviously has more gameplay, not just like flat out QTE stuff or anything like that.
See, I would say something like Uncharted is more of a game that's trying to be a movie because that's more of a cinematic experience. MGS to me, I mean, yes, it has very long cutscenes. Yes, there's a lot of Hollywood inspiration there, but it still feels very much like a game. It's just a very story-heavy game, and it likes to... it plays with, like, Hollywood camera tricks. Like, that's always how I felt about it. Like, if you look at the original... I mean, the first two Metal Gear Solid games and MGS3, before it got the fully controllable camera.
Yeah.
The sort of shots it used, like the overhead view, and then it would transition to, like, a over-the-shoulder view when you press against the wall, and then you can switch into a first-person view. Like, all those sort of camera tricks felt very Hollywood-esque.
Yeah. I mean, he's a big fan of Hollywood.
Yeah.
Dude is just hanging out with fucking Hollywood now.
What's the saying on his Twitter thing? It's like 80% of my body is movies.
Yeah. I'll question that, man, because, I mean, I watch a lot of movies, too, and you know that for a fact. I watch a lot of shit.
I don't know. I feel like Kojima watches more than you do, though.
I don't know.
I think so. You don't watch classic movies, man.
I mean, it depends. What do you consider to be classic? Like, how often, like, just black and white movies? I've watched a few.
A few.
I've watched
I guarantee you Kojima's watched more than that.
I watched all the James Dean movies.
He's also older than you. So.
Yeah, that's true. But, so, even in Metal Gear, right? He wanted to cast big-name Hollywood actors.
I know he asked to have Kurt Russell voice Snake in I think MGS2 and 3. It was one of them. At least one of them. Okay. And he got turned down. And it's kind of fucked up because Hader had to re-audition every time for the role of Snake.
So we're getting at to where do you think Kojima has let Hollywood get to his head?
Okay, so now we're getting into the modern day Death Stranding stuff, right?
I guess.
Okay. The honest answer is I don't know. I look at the stuff for Death Stranding that's coming out, and I have to wonder, especially after Phantom Pain, what Kojima's doing, because his work feels very different. You know, I'm a fan of his because of Metal Gear Solid. There was also Zone of the Enders and Boktai.
Yeah, I like those.
Good franchises, fun games, but they're not. For me, they're not quite at the level of Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid was special because it felt like it took two worlds and blended them.
Yeah,
Hollywood and video games, and it had a very engrossing story, great characters. It felt like it had relevance to the real world, like politics and history, without being up in your face, like trying to necessarily shove a message down your throat.
It was still being entertainment.
And entertaining, yes. Very much. Yeah. To the fact that like you could throw out any themes or morals the story had to offer.
And just have fun
with it. Whereas I see what's coming out for Death Stranding and I'm like, this feels like it's getting to a preachy area. I wonder if he's kind of getting this whole, and I use this term mockingly almost, that like, oh, I'm an auteur kind of thing. There's a bug flying around my face. That's why I'm waving my hand like that. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like he's really trying to appear artistic with making this, and he's getting all these big name Hollywood actors. Yeah, which is cool. But
see the bug,
huh?
I saw the bug.
Yeah, but I don't have a problem with them bringing in Hollywood actors because Norman Reedus is cool. Yeah, people like him. Mads Mikkelsen is fucking awesome. Yeah, love Mads Mikkelsen. Yeah. So I'm all for that, but I do know that I wasn't happy when they replaced David Hayter and Metal Gear Solid because we've seen him as Snake for how many years? Yeah. And then just toss him out and bring in Kiefer Sutherland. Yeah. That was kind of just like, what the fuck, man?
What the hell, Kojima?
What the hell?
I mean, I remember when we met David Hayter, I felt bad. I was just like, dude, just write what the hell, Kojima. Like, I asked him, like, what the fuck, Kojima? Like, I straight up asked the man.
Oh, well, you cite it, what the fuck, Kojima?
Yeah, I was like, hey, man, can you just write what the fuck, Kojima? He's like, no, I'm not going to do that, dude. How about what the hell?
Well, yeah, because then it's just the Metal Gear Solid line.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I was getting into something. Oh, yeah, and then in this one, for Death Stranding, there apparently was going to be the character of Fragile that was going to be designed around Stephanie Houston, the one that played Quiet. Yeah, in Phantom Pain, and like all of a sudden, like after Kojima contacts her, like, yeah, you're gonna play this character. He sends her material for it, and then he never contacts her again. And instead, he has some Hollywood actors doing it now.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? It's there's a bunch of Hollywood people in this. There's Margaret Qualley. There are people in this game that are not even actors. They're straight up directors. Guillermo del Toro, Nicholas Winding Refn. Nicholas Winding Refn has directed one of Kojima's favorite movies. You've seen Kojima wear the fucking Drive jacket. And it's just like, what the fuck, Kojima? What the fuck?
What the hell?
Yeah. For me, it's not even that the game, like for you, you said it seems a little bit preachy from what you've seen so far.
Yeah, because like they started talking about the whole like border thing, and like I get it, that's very much on the minds of people in America. I understand that, but it's also like Kojima. I don't think you're really like. Can he have that sort of perspective being in America? Is my question. It's like I don't want him to like get into something that he can't really like.
I think that's a universal thing.
You think so?
In a sense. Of borders and all that stuff. I mean, MGS talks about that.
It does.
So, especially, I mean, he has experience in that, talking about borders and stuff. For me, it's not even just the game seems preachy. It's just from the gameplay that I've seen, the 8-minute trailer that we've seen. It's just too MGS-like for me.
I'm all for it being like MGS.
But then it's like, for me, it's like also, okay, you just play this blue-collar delivery guy.
I don't want it to be a walking simulator. I don't want to be like playing FedEx, okay?
Well, that's the thing. It's for me, the world, obviously, the game's not out yet. So from what I've seen, I'm basing my opinion on, is the fact that it's still kind of like Phantom Pain. Where Phantom Pain, the world's kind of seemed empty.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. so you're coming from strictly a gameplay perspective. I'm coming from a story perspective, and I do want to elaborate on this. It's not that I'm afraid Kojima might take up a political stance, especially one I disagree with. I don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
For me, it's not about that. It's about a trend that I'm noticing more lately. Historically maybe it always has been there. I think it has, but I feel like I'm noticing it too much with creators I like or things I like. For instance, we saw Mother recently, or it was like last year, and we didn't like that movie because it felt like it was shoving a message down your throat.
Well, that was the thing that we were talking about earlier at work, right? Is presenting the subjective as the objective, or the objective or subjective.
Yeah, presenting subjective as objective. Yeah. That's part of it, but it's also the fact that it's insulting your viewer's intelligence.
Yeah.
In the sense that it's almost like you have to make it that up front. You made a conscious decision to insert a message as opposed to allowing it to come out freely without forcing it, like to have it subconsciously arise in your work. And I'm coming from there with from the perspective of an artist myself, because when I write, I notice that, something real world will always show up in my work when I'm not trying to do it. And it feels more nuanced that way. But I also understand that because I did it that way, that's just what I'm seeing in my own stuff.
Yeah.
Other people end up seeing something different in it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I didn't like try to put that in there.
Yeah.
And that's not even what I see in it. That's what you see in it. So the thing is, good art brings out something that's inside you. When people can all look at an art and just it's obvious that it has one particular message.
Yeah.
Like in the case of Mother, it has a very obvious message.
Yeah.
In the case of Us, also has a very obvious message. And both of these things sacrificed integrity of the story. It cannot stand on its own two legs. It has to have that input, that sort of message for it to be good. Or not even good, but like to make sense.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get into too much to criticizing those. I'm just saying that for me, I don't like stuff like that.
That's the thing. I don't like, in comparison to video games, right? Like Mother and Us is just kind of like, okay, no, here's a story, blah, blah, blah. Here's everything. Instead of like, in comparison, like, say, Dark Souls. Dark Souls, like, kind of like you kind of figure out the story on your own. Yeah,
Dark Souls is an example, I think, of story done right for video games.
Yeah.
Where it's cryptic.
It
does not hold your hand.
It does not hold your hand.
And you can make associations about it. Like, quick recap of Dark Souls 1. You've got basically two paths you can go. You can either choose to side with the gods, or you can choose to side with the fucking abyss.
Yeah.
And it's like either way, you're kind of getting screwed over. And then you can kind of apply that to a metaphor for the real world and say like, oh, whatever. You can interpret so many different ways.
Yeah, you could take what you take from it. Eventually, you're gonna take what you take from it. But in a sense, with the Us and Mother, and like with certain games, like where Kojima is heading, it seems like it's kind of like,
I don't want it to follow those trends.
Yeah.
Because that's sort of what's popular among the art house directors in Hollywood. And there are art house movies I like. I mean, Blade Runner, I would say, is art house. But the thing is, with Blade Runner, the story stands on its own two legs. You don't need to make real world interpretations to enjoy Blade Runner. But when you start doing that later on, you start like looking at like, oh, well, this is kind of like what it's saying about what could happen in the future. This is what it's saying about humanity, like what it means to be human. Then it only enriches what's already there, as opposed to needing that for it to be a complete story.
Yeah, like I said, for me, it's not even the story of Death Stranding. Like, obviously, you barely know what's going on with this 8-minute trailer. Once again, the game hasn't come out. So we're just basing our opinions on what we've seen so far.
Yeah, this is just, a vibe that, we're
getting.
Talking about.
Like, for me, the story, I just feel like Kojima is just letting Hollywood... I honestly feel like he just let Hollywood just get... He finally got his grasp into Hollywood. Like, that's what he's wanting to, which I'm all great for. Follow your dream, follow your passion.
Yeah, he's backdooring into it almost.
Yeah.
And cool.
That's always what he wanted, right? But then it's like, don't step on the people that kind of got you there. Like, even with some of the greatest directors, like Christopher Nolan, one of my favorite directors.
Mm-hmm.
He usually casts the same people in his movies because he's like, I've built this relationship with them. I know them. I trust them. Blah, blah, blah. I want to put them in my movies. Adam Sandler has done that with his friends.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you could say recent Adam Sandler movies suck or whatever, but he's like, dude, I want to make this movie with my friends. I want to at least give my friends a part in this movie, minor as it is, whatever. I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna build this relationship with the cast and crew that I have.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves is known for it in movies.
Mm-hmm.
God, dude is like Jesus, man. Fucking buying Harley Davidsons for the cast of, the stunt crew of Matrix. Doing all these humble things. And then you have Kojima all of a sudden fucking ghosting Stephanie Houston, making David Hayter, which everybody loved David Hayter.
Yeah.
And he's like making him re-audition, and just like, yeah, nah, man, I'm with Phantom Pain, I'm doing this different thing, and I'm going to cast Kiefer Sutherland.
Well, another thing about that, too, is in the Japanese version of Metal Gear Solid, Akio Atsuka voices Snake, and there was never any replacement for him. And as far as I know, there was never any question of him ever being replaced. Because in Japan, as you and I know at least, and for those that don't know, you're about to, that when you get a role or a job in Japan, you're pretty much with it for life. I mean, it's changing now.
Yeah.
As they
younger generation is coming in.
Yeah. But in general, like, that's how it's always been there. So Akio Atsuka, you could say, is pretty much Snake for life. Mm-hmm. And if they come out with another Metal Gear game, he most likely will be Snake.
Yeah.
But it's like in America, that is not how it goes, and it almost seems like Kojima is just like, oh well, I can't do that here in Japan, but I can do it in America. So like, yeah, fuck Hater.
Yeah, and it's not even that. It's like, look, I'm a big fan of movies. The fact that you have directors as actors in your movies,
I don't know. It's kind of weird, but I like Guillermo del Toro.
I like Guillermo del Toro. I like Nicholas Winding Refn, but that could have been a job given to actual other actors.
Yeah. Well, that was one thing I said to you when we were talking about it at work was it felt kind of wrong to ghost Stephanie Houston like that when it's like, hey, I designed this character. Like, look, even the concept art looks like you.
It just straight up didn't even contact her back. You could have been like, you couldn't even say like, hey, my bad. We're going this direction or something like this.
Yeah, we changed direction. We're going with this person. Because it's like sometimes these people need something to start their career, and Death Stranding is pretty fucking big.
Yeah,
it could have helped her if she was. I don't know, because as far as I know, she hasn't really had many roles, and the Phantom Pain was probably a big one, probably the biggest on her list of filmography.
So I don't like that aspect of it. Like, and that's it's sad to say. I'm not gonna. I've kind of learned my lesson with Phantom Pain. Buying the collector's not even the collector's edition, but like just kind of like not to get too hyped because like
people were pretty disappointed with Phantom.
Yeah,
I went in blind, and still just based on my previous experiences with Metal Gear Solid, I was kind of disappointed with it, and I've defended it too. But it is one of those cases where I feel like you need to take outside knowledge and apply it to the game or break it down a certain way. Like I was saying with movies like Us and Mother, like doesn't stand it stands on its own 2 feet, but it's not as strong as previous entries.
I mean, I've said this about it, right? Obviously, there was like a big thing going on during that time of development as well with Konami and all that.
Kojima Konami struggle
or whatever. And I've always said this before too, right? It's got to be a balance of like letting the artist do what he needs to do, but also reminding the artist that, hey, it is a business. We can't put all this fucking money into this.
Well, this is again where like, is his head getting too big?
Yeah,
because
Sony like straight up give him a blank check, man. It's just
I don't believe that. That's what people say. I don't believe that. I believe that they had a very like they had a hard budget, I believe. And I believe that they had a plan for this game. I don't believe that Sony's not stupid.
I know that, yeah, but it just seems like
Kojima's always been a Sony fanboy,
yeah.
So I feel like he's just gonna like, yeah, okay, Sony, because you said so. You're not Konami. You're not dumbasses.
And I'm proud for Kojima making those connections in Hollywood and stuff like that. I mean, like he worked his ass off on these games to get to where he's at. But at the same time, it's just like, dude, don't forget the people that also got you there.
Also, remember you're making a video game.
Yeah.
Please remember that.
Yeah. Because like I said, the gameplay for me, it just seems too much like Metal Gear, but with fucking UPS delivery guy Norman the Reedus fetus.
Again, I don't care if the game feels like MGS. I love playing MGS. If it's going to be sneaky.
I don't mind that. Like I said, I don't mind MGS gameplay, but then it's like, it reminds me, let me clarify that. It reminds me too much a little bit of Phantom Pain, where the world seems empty.
I know Kojima's kind of had this obsession with open world games, because I remember around the time Phantom Pain was coming out, he was really like getting hyped up about GTA 5. Sorry. Yeah. Saying about how Rockstar was creating this amazing world and whatnot. And I remember he was having all these talks about like how, in Japan, it's like the games are like going up a ladder, and then in the West, it's like an elevator. Like he was trying to like make some point with that, and I was like, I don't get it. And he's like, I'm going to try to make a hybrid where it's like a ladder and an elevator. I was like, did you see that?
No.
I'd have to find it again. I just remember it. It was like a little crappy animation of Snake going up a ladder and then Snake on an elevator. And then Snake going up a ladder and then onto an elevator. Is like, I want to make this.
No. And his fascination with Hollywood is even beyond that. Like I remember the trailers for MGS2. Do you remember like the pre-trailers for MGS2? Where they were in like the actor chairs and all that stuff, and it's like, okay, Raiden is going after.
Oh no, that was MGS3.
Was that
MGS3? Yeah, I remember that.
Where it's like, okay, Snake is on a fucking chair, on like the actor's chair, and all of a sudden Raiden. Yeah. So it's like, it's obvious he has this fascination with Hollywood and stuff, and
which is fine, because a lot of artists take inspiration from different mediums.
And obviously, Hollywood is now starting to kind of have a fascination with video games as well.
Hollywood's always been derivative, man. I would say Hollywood is probably the most derivative of most mainstream medias. I mean, don't get me wrong. There is derivative stuff everywhere. I mean, with books, you have shelves of genre fiction, and it's like, you pick up one urban fantasy novel or just a fantasy novel, and it's like, how much of it feels different than the one next to it. And with movies, it's an adaptation of a book, it's an adaptation of a comic book, it's an adaptation of a video game, it's a remake of an old movie. There's not much originality.
But then, do you see that sort of kind of happening now with video games? In a sense, it's happening now too. It's like, you Final Fantasy VII remake, Secret of Mana
it's been happening. I know, people have been complaining. Yeah, I remember when they started doing all the reboots, and everyone was getting pissed about that.
Yeah, and like, look, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare is getting rebooted, right?
I'm sorry, that one is silly, because it's like, who plays Call of Duty for the single player, man?
Hey, look. The first Modern Warfare was known for a single player story. I mean, it wasn't bad.
I only played the single player until I got internet, high speed internet, because at the time I didn't have it. So, yeah.
No, first Modern Warfare had a pretty decent story with Captain Price and all that stuff. Even the second Modern Warfare was not bad.
The nuke thing was cool.
Yeah,
I'll give it that, because that was scary. That was pretty fucking scary.
Fucking watching Chernobyl now, and just like, shit. Watch Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Blah, blah, blah.
Okay, save that for another time.
Yeah,
you getting into spoiler territory, boy.
I'm not getting into spoiler. I'm just like, it just felt like they didn't know how radiation works. That's it. But
overall, are you excited for Death Stranding?
I'm gonna get it. I'm not gonna get the collector's edition or anything like that. Like, I'm not. I'm done with that.
You can't get the collector's edition because it sold out in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I tried to get it. I wanted my bridge baby.
Yeah.
I wanted to be like Mads Mikkelsen. Like I'm gonna give you the moon. This is all yours. I was gonna hold my bridge baby up and sing the lullaby every night. But yeah. Clearly I did not get that. But I'm still gonna get the game. I'm still a Kojima fanboy as of now.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm still excited for what he's doing. He's finally getting to do something that he's been wanting to do.
Yeah, he's been wanting to break away from Metal Gear. So now he finally has his chance. We'll see what he's gonna do. Yeah. Hopefully it'll be good. Hopefully, like I'm reading it wrong entirely. Yeah, based on what we've seen.
You let us know, your thoughts.
Yeah. If you've got some cool theories, throw them at me that can get me hyped again. Because right now I don't know what to think.
Yeah, I mean we have Twitter, we have Instagram, we have Facebook.
Yeah, all the links will be in the comments. I mean, not comments, description. Description. I'll say it a third time because 3 is the magic number.
Follow the strands of our social media platforms.
Man, if you keep saying that and then Death Stranding comes out and it bombs in the bad way.
If it bombs, it bombs, bro. That's what it is.
It ain't gonna affect me. I'll just be disappointed. I'll be like, oh, okay. It's Phantom Pain 2.0. With spooky skull. Oh, it's got another skull face too.
It's got 2.
Bro, wait. It's skull face with the gold DLC package.
Die Hard Man, and you got Troy Baker's character that wears a fucking skull mask.
Die Hard Man, it just looks like Black Mask from Batman.
Yeah.
Roman Science.
And then fucking Troy Baker's character looks like Taskmaster. With the hoodie and shit. Yeah. Especially with the Avengers fucking game that just came on, they announced, Square Enix.
I just wonder, though, how many people are buying this game just because Norman Reedus? Because I remember he started getting popular because of Walking Dead, because his character development as Daryl was just like, oh, he's such a good guy. And I remember the part like he's holding Rick's baby. He's like, oh, little ass kicker. And
I
remember on my friends list on Facebook, women were just going crazy for him.
Yeah.
Ovaries were exploding over this man.
I always liked Norman Reedus. I mean, I loved him in Boondock Saints. He's also in Blade 2. With Guillermo del Toro directed.
Right. No, I'm not saying he didn't have roles before Walking Dead, but the reason his popularity is where it is now is because of Walking Dead.
Yeah, that is true.
He's pretty much he's pretty much the face of Walking Dead now. It ain't Andrew Lincoln.
Yeah. What are we gonna do about this Daryl, Rick?
Nothing, because no one can touch him. He's too popular to kill off.
And I apologize. I'm a little sick. So, cough, No,
you sound fine. Don't worry.
But I guess with that being said, let's get into it. We got a surprise, right?
Take it away.
Giveaway. We want to thanks, because, it is our 1 year anniversary. And it's funny that we talk about Kojima, because a Kojima game brought us together.
Yeah. I was co-hosting a Metal Gear Solid panel with my friend Stan at the time, and that's how we ended up bumping into Kay and his crew, the Diamond Dogs.
Diamond Dogs, right?
Diamond Dogs at Holiday Matsuri.
We're just yelling out Diamond Dogs.
Diamond Dogs.
Diamond Dogs. Diamond Dogs.
Diamond Dogs.
So it's been a fantastic journey here at Geek Tank. We really want to thank our subscribers, our listeners, because now we are on Podbean, Google Play Store, YouTube. Obviously, we have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram,
we're on Spotify.
We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts.
We're on Google Podcasts.
Whatever, and probably more
on the Twits and the Instas.
Yeah.
Do we have a Snapchat?
No. Maybe we should. I don't know. That's too much for us, man. That's too much.
I can't even keep up with my own social media.
All these strands.
Too many strands. Kojima says humans need to be connected.
Maybe that's what it is. Death Stranding. Death to these strands.
They're already dead to me. I barely log into Facebook anymore. I can't keep up with it.
So, we want to really thank our viewers, listeners, once again, for tuning into Geek Tank, week after week, and or bi-weekly. Whenever you guys can, whenever you guys tune in, I want to give out this thing that I've been holding on for ever since it came out.
Yeah, 4 years, pretty much.
4 years.
It came out 2015, and it's still sealed.
Yeah, it is still sealed. It's still in the plastic, man. Still in the plastic. It is the collector's edition of the Phantom Pain, Metal Gear Solid.
On the X-Bone, because, Diamond dogs need bones.
Yeah, Xbox One, X-Bone. Yeah. So we want to give this out. How do we give this out? How do we thank our viewers?
So, basically, all you got to do is comment at us. You can tweet at us. You can comment on this video link, or in this video, I mean. Give us a little feedback. Tell us, since this is our 1 year anniversary, what have you liked that we've done so far? What can we improve on? Any sort of thing. What kind of content would you like to see from us in the future? What sort of topics should we cover? So yeah, just
comment that. Comment what we can do to be better, and then comment after what we can do to be better. Comment Phantom Pain, and then we'll have like a drawing.
What, like #Phantom Pain?
Yeah. You can do #Phantom Pain after your comment of how we can improve and how we can be better, and how I think that's good, right? Yeah.
And after a month, basically what we'll do is we'll, take the list of all the people that have, and we will do a random drawing, and whoever wins will
reach out to you, man.
We'll reach out to you and get that to you.
Yeah. So thank you for watching Geek Tank.
I'm Zia.
I'm Kay.
And we will see you next time.
This tweak in my shoulder. Slept on it wrong. Is that chair comfy for you, or is
that's fine.
Grating in your ass or something?
It's not grating in my ass. But, I guess not the most comfortable thing, but that's good because I'm kind of sleepy.
As you see in these bloopers, you see Zia, stretching and everything like that on cam. How we prepare.
Wiggle my toes.
What the camera can't see, though, is a special surprise.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm hinting at
it. Your scar, yeah. All right, so 3, 2, 1.